It's so wonderful to see you all standing here from this vantage point. I've come across many of you in different aspects of my life in my first year here in Milwaukee. I know one of you from shouting side by side on the sidelines at our daughter's soccer games. I've volunteered next to others of you, and I love the phrase that was mentioned in the video that when a group of women like us gather, it truly is a show of force. So thank you for giving me the honor of presenting a message to this group today. And it's particularly wonderful to do so at your first gathering in a couple of years, given the pandemic. When a small group of leaders, some of whom are in the audience today, came together in 2002 to ponder ways to make a difference by forming a women's initiative, pandemic-wrought global shutdowns were not on their minds. A time like this, when I would stand before hundreds of you in this room and then others via live stream, was not on their minds. That small group of women, as we heard in the video, gathered instead with a very urgent mission on their hearts, and that was to make Milwaukee a safer, healthier place for girls and women. This was a substantial undertaking. After all, they were talking about life-threatening issues like violence, victimization, and the circumstances that lead to children bearing children. But the women, brave and unshrinking, looked at the problem head on, had the tough discussions, aired the concerns, worked through the tensions, then they did what needed to be done. They gathered evidence to define problems and solutions. They selected a vulnerable demographic of young girls to focus on. They convened and organized a large and powerful coalition of partners. They delivered an intensive intervention. They assessed and approved upon results. They took what worked to scale. The fruits of their labor, fewer children born to children. From my work in education, I've seen countless ways that the pandemic has had a severely negative impact on kids' academic prospects as well. And to be frank, the situation is especially dire in Milwaukee because of the educational disparities that were extreme to begin with. So here's the current reality in that area. The picture of literacy in Milwaukee has been grim. We've had stagnant reading scores for decades pre-COVID and devastating learning loss since. And now, as schools close for the year, a mass summertime academic slide will begin its predictable descent. Already, poor reading achievement dipping to new lows in COVID times has been dubbed the kindergarten crisis, and an estimated 1/3 of children in early elementary school are expected to need intensive interventions to learn how to read at all. New evidence suggests that babies and toddlers' neurodevelopment and cognitive performance plummeted during the pandemic, hurt by the stress and isolation that their caregivers were experiencing. Given all of this, the question becomes, what would it take for each of us to do our part to raise Women United's bar of service, leadership, and philanthropy in our community to meet the even more complex and urgent needs of today and the next 20 years? The answer, I believe, is doubling down on our strengths as individual contributors in society and also expanding and deepening our connections to others, like the women in this room, who share our vision for a better world for women and for girls. Our relationships with one another are the invisible architecture that uphold the network. When we connect across our tables, across the room, across our differences, we can foster stronger flows of information, smarter allocation of resources, greater recognition of opportunity, and better results for the girls and families we wish to serve. Now, imagine what happens if we all continue to work. If we work at preventing the reading challenges we can and intervening early for those we can't prevent. If we work at bolstering families' access to books, early literacy best practices, and high-quality reading instruction. If we work at advocating for paid parental leave, high-quality and affordable preschool, and better teacher training. I think our collective efforts could change the life trajectories of millions of students. I think it could improve their job prospects, their health, their self-regard. I think it would work. And I think some of you in here are now looking at me. Consider yourselves part of my network. I already consider you part of mine. If we work in this way, if we work together, if we bring our strengths, and if we imagine a new future that we want to lean into, I think it would be a great tribute to the founding women who first united to create this network. Those who had a vision and pursued it. Those who ran meetings and raised funds, volunteered time, and donated money. Those who charted strategy, wooed partners, and held everyone accountable. In short, we should be women united. We should continue to press. Thank you.